you get people to say yes as a fundraiser, as a nonprofit leader? So much of your success, your ability to serve your community, to move your mission is based in your ability to get someone to say yes to you, to say yes to your vision, to your ideas, to your leadership, to your direction, to your directives. Um, it's about getting donors to say yes, getting community partners to say yes, corporations, board members. There are no end to the people that it is critical that you, I don't want to say get them because, I don't like that language, but that they are excited and choose to enroll in the vision that you are setting forward. And just how do you do that? Because I bet if you're like most people I meet, most people that I know in the community, this is very frustrating because we were taught, and I don't know why this is, but we were taught that you need to pitch and sell and convince and push and follow up and follow up and follow up until you're exhausted and they're frustrated and nothing's going to happen. So I think this model doesn't work. In fact, I know it doesn't work. It doesn't work in the commercial business industry. It doesn't work in the nonprofit industry, especially around fundraising. And today on the Influential Nonprofit, lucky you, I am so grateful you're listening because I am going to give you my masterclass, my signature approach to how to get people to say yes so you can stop feeling rejected, ineffective, pushy. You can stop prodding. You can stop pitching, all of that stuff that doesn't make you feel good anyway, and the other person doesn't like to be on the receiving end of anyway. It just doesn't really work for anyone. All right, you're like, yeah, Maryanne, I get it. It just doesn't work. But what does work? And I'm going to share it with you. I coach and train people to master the art of influence. And instead of pushing and pitching, we are going to be influential fundraisers and leaders. And this is my dog. I don't know if you can hear him panting over the side of me. But an influential leader, an influential fundraiser is someone that people can respect, trust, and admire. And I think of those three things, trust is the most important thing. No one will say yes to you unless they trust you. That is the fundamental need of any relationship. No one is going to give you time, money, energy, their attention unless they trust you. Respect, trust, and admire. And influential leaders, instead of pushing, right, it's about giving value and listening. We're moving away from the push, push, push to the pull. I'm pulling things out of you. I'm learning about you. I'm understanding you. And I'm helping you make an empowered decision. The goal in influential fundraising is to help someone make an empowered decision. And that could mean donating to your cause or not, but it's the right decision for them. And if you help them make an empowered decision, no matter what decision it is, they will respect you, admire you, and trust you. It may not be the right match for your organization. And also, they would recommend you to someone else. And you might create a relationship much beyond what you intended to do in the first place. You will continue to move through life, creating supporters and friends, whether or not they donated to you. And that can only benefit you in the long run. So instead of pushing, pitching, and prodding, we are going to learn how to be influential leaders, how to be a leader that people respect, admire, and trust. And once we do that, then they will listen to what you have to say and consider it. Okay. So the goal here is an empowered decision, sovereignty all around. You get your sovereignty, they get their sovereignty. Everybody gets to decide to do what is best for them. often people ask me what the difference is between influence and manipulation, because I say, oh, what do you do? Well, I coach and train people in the art of influence. What does that mean? Well, it means like getting people to do what you want them to do. Well, isn't that manipulation? The difference between influence and manipulation is, in influence, the decision benefits all parties, right? Everyone makes an empowered decision. In manipulation, I don't care if it's right for you or not. I just want you to do something. If you've ever bought something, felt like you got pushed into something, or sold some, or got sold something, and you're like, wait, that person didn't care about me at all. That's manipulation. But in influence, everyone wins. And if it doesn't work for everyone, it doesn't work. And I think that because we have been taught the scarcity myth, that there's not enough time, there's not enough money, there's not enough, anything, that we have to hold on to people, and we have to really get somebody to do something because we don't know where the next person's going to come from. So we feel pressure, and in turn, that pressure rolls downhill onto the person that we want something to do, or a group of people that we want to do something. I want to step back and say that the skills that I'm going to teach you work for individuals as well as groups. So this is about developing one-on-one relationships, but this is also the way that you want to shift your thinking to a larger group, right? To a target audience that you are working with, because it's all relationship building, right? And the same tenets apply. We're just going to expand them to more people. It's just scale. That's the only difference. So as I go through these, I want you to think about how you relate to people one-on-one, but I also want you to think about how this could change how you market and communicate with your audiences, so that we are all in alignment with what's going, right? We are all in alignment. And we're all sharing the same values and the same message. Before I go into the 10 ways that you can get people to say yes, I want to share a little bit about why I do this, and why this is important. So, sometimes people have a superpower, and a lot of times if you have a superpower, which I'm sure you do, everyone does, that superpower can come to you very easily, right? Like you didn't train for it or practice it. You can just do it. And so you don't value it very much because you didn't work hard to get it. But that's often the thing that we do the best, that makes us unique to, and gives us our greatest. In my life, I did not realize that I could get people to say yes to what I want. In fact, it never occurred to me that this was something I could do that other people couldn't do. I'm like, wait, people just don't say yes to what you want? And no, my best friend Jim, as I talk about Jim all the time, like, he pointed this out to me. He's like, yeah, that you can do that, right? I'm like, well, no, like, how do I do that? And I started to think about in my life what I was valued for in my old job. And I worked for 501 Creative for 16 years, um, from 2003 up until I started this business in 2018. One of the value that I had to the company was I made problems go away. Now, we didn't have a lot of problems. We were wonderful people, and we're also, stuff happens, right? And stuff would go wrong. And they would say, hey, Maryanne, can you talk to them? And I could make the problem go away. And the reason I could make the problem go away is because I listened and empathized, and I made them feel seen and heard. And I'll say this a lot, and I'll say this for the first time right now. People will buy to the level they feel seen and heard. You don't have to make a case. You don't have to pitch. You don't have to sell. All you have to do is make people feel seen and heard. That's it. And I realized I was really good at that. And in being really good at that, and being very accepting and open and with other people, that they now would listen to what I had to say. And I thought, okay, well, if this comes so easily to me, that's why I didn't value it. I also didn't really pay attention to what I was doing. So I spent a lot of time studying and understanding what I was doing, which was coming completely intuitively to me. And then also listening to other coaches, guides, mentors of mine, which I have a collection of, and I will refer to as I go through this content, if I'm citing them for some wisdom that they gave me. And to take all of that, my experience, my intuitive gifts, my coaches, guides, other research that I've done on different methodologies, and I came up with this list. So this is a combination, alchemized content for you, and it's been used over and over and over again by the folks that I coach and train. As you know, I have my Up-Level Your Influence course. I have a long-term coaching program where people who've done the course stay with me for a year to really learn and inhabit these skills and up-level their confidence and their leadership. I work with boards and I work with teams inside organizations, all based around these principles of how can I easily move others to action in a way that's honest, aligned, authentic, and empowered and benefits all people. And yes, it can happen. You know, one of the things that we get trapped in, I'm going to say this really quick and then I want to make sure we get this out. One of the things that we get trapped in is the polarity. And the polarity is like there are winners and losers. There's a right and left, there's a right or wrong. And when we move beyond the polarity, instead of saying, well, it's either you or them. Like I did a workshop on Monday and we were talking a lot about between like the big picture and having everything figured out and just experimentation and trying. But really there's space for both, right? Everyone, because the boss really wanted to have everything thought out. And then I was encouraging them to just take this one little thing and try it, to move some donors to action. And there's space for all of things. So what does it look like to be beyond the polarity where you can have a plan, but then you can still move in the moment? And that is possible. So I want us to think about not being bound in the polarity, but making really specific shifts to move to a space where when everyone wins, when everyone feels good about what's happening, that's where we create long-term loyal donors. The bottom line is influential leaders are here to create communities of support. We can't make change by ourselves, right? We can't make change alone. We have to mobilize people in order to do that. And so it's the most important skill we can have is the skill of influence to create this community of support so that you can keep doing your work. They can keep being a participant, that you can create a long-term, lasting, loyal community of support to effectively create the change that you want and solve the problems that you're dealing with. That is what we want. Yes, we set the foundation. Awesome. Now here we go. First, we're going to go a little internal because you know me, it's all an inside out game. So we're going to start internal and then we're going to move to sort of external. Okay. So, and there's 10 things, but I may add a bonus along the way. Also there is, if you're listening to this, there is a YouTube video, and there is a pretty extensive blog post that goes along with all my podcasts, so you can read along as well. But you might want to take some notes while you're walking through this one. First is from desperate to detached. Now, this is about you and your approach to getting someone to say yes. The more that you want something to happen, the less likely you will have it happen. And I know that sounds really crazy, but if you think about it, it's not. Because if you want to get somebody to do something, they're going to feel pressure. And what happens when you feel pressure? You shut down. Now, I know you can remember a time when somebody's tried to push you into something and your fight or flight response kicks off. You either want to get rid of the person or push back on the person because you feel pressured. And one of the biggest ways that you can get someone to say yes is giving them the opportunity to say no. When you get invested in an outcome, you shift the energy, you shift the dynamic, because now you need something to happen. You want something to happen. It has to happen. And when you cling to the outcome, you're acting out of fear. And when you act out of fear that something might not happen, you create more fear. And when you act from a place of detachment, what do I say when you mean detachment? I say this all the time, releasing the outcome. I'm okay. If this is going to work, it works. If not, that's okay too. And not from a place of like saying it, but a place of actually meaning it. That, going into that place, into that higher expanded self of yours and tapping in to, that sovereign person, that sovereign being that you are, saying, you know, looking at your history, the money shows up, the people show up. It may be this person, it may be not, but it's okay. It's not going to be okay. It is okay. And everything is happening for you, not to you, for you. And so the less likely you want something, the more likely you are to get it, because of the simple fact that you are giving somebody the decision-making power. And the more decision-making power you give to someone, the more likely they are going to do what you want. And that's just how we work. And so when I say something like, hey, whatever you decide is totally okay, I'm giving somebody permission to say no. And in giving them permission to say no, they're way more likely to say yes. And that comes from me, from a place of honesty, saying whatever you decide is totally okay. Now, again, two things can be true at the same time. I may meet an organization or a person that I think is perfect for my program, and I would love to enroll them in what I do. And, so I can want something and also be okay with any outcome. There's three questions you can ask yourself when to get yourself detached. The first is, what is my intended outcome for this? Like, what would I love to have happen? The second question is, am I okay with any outcome? Like, am I okay with any outcome? And the third is, what's the next most reasonable next step? So I would kind of want to have idea in my mind of like what I'd like to have happen next. Then also completely release from all of that. Right? What outcome would I desire? Am I okay with any outcome? And what's the next logical next step? You get straight with those questions. You really have to release the outcome. I think this is the most important step, because the more you don't care, the more people do what you want. You will have people say, I think, and I've seen this happen, and I've done this, where somebody says, I'm not feeling like alignment here. Maybe this isn't a good match for you. And people will say, oh, no, wait, hold on. And they will literally tell you why they want to donate to your organization, because you told them you didn't think they might be a good fit. And I'm not saying doing that as a manipulation technique. I'm saying sometimes you'd say, is this a fit for you? I'm not feeling like this might be a fit for you. And they would say, oh, yeah, it is. Let me tell you. Now they're making a case for themselves because you release the outcome. Releasing the outcome. I'm going to say one more thing about this, because a lot of times we're not hearing what people are saying. Remember, our job is to help people feel seen and heard. So we're not hearing what people are saying because we only are hearing what we want to hear. We only are hearing the thing that's going to meet our needs and our intended outcome. And that really keeps us from honest dialogue, because we get caught into it. So we're listening through that filter, that agenda that we have to make a certain thing happen. All right, so that's number one, release the outcome. I'm going to go quicker after this. Number two, from less than to equal partners. Our nonprofit, we often come from a place of feeling less than, or less, feeling inferior to our donors. They have the power, they have the money. We are coming and saying, oh, please, 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 can you help us? That way is over. It's been over. When I was in high school, I remember, and I didn't even know what development was. This was the 80s, okay? This was so long ago, but I remember the development director telling everyone, I can remember his face, I can't remember his name. Anyway, I'm a professional baker. Like, come on, man. Those days are gone. Now we are equal partners. You have expertise, they have money. We are partners. We are creating community, and everybody in the community has assets. Everyone in the community has a purpose. Everyone has gifts, from in-kind gifts to monetary gifts to intellectual gifts to gifts of time, right? We all have gifts to give, and we are all here together. So here you are, instead of saying like, oh, I'm less than, therefore, if I feel like I'm less than myself, and this was some part of me, my life, that work that I've done, is that I always felt less than everyone. So I had to be over exceptional, over exciting, over everything, just to be considered equal. And I think the nonprofit world, we often fall into that trap as well, because we feel less than, we feel dependent on other people, the generosity of others to be successful, we feel less than. And our job is, so that we have to be exceptional and amazing in every way and blah, blah, blah. No one can see the cracks and da, da, da. Instead of, hey, you and I are equal partners. Let's see if this is a fit. If not, that's okay too. And you come to the table in partnership. It is a big, big shift. And it comes from, again, the detachment, right? It comes from detachment and that understanding that and believing in the abundance of everything, of time, money, energy, whatever you need, it's around there for you to access. And that you don't need anything. Remember, the energy, it's the energy of choice. And I don't need to, I don't have to, I don't want to. I choose, I get to, I choose to. And that's what I want. I want somebody who's choosing to do this. I don't want them to do it because they feel like they have to do it or they need to do it. I want them to do it because they get to do it. They get to give us money. They get to participate. They're choosing. It's a whole different energy. And that comes from the equal partnership. All right. So number one, desperate to detach. Number two, from less than to equal partners. Number three, from fearing no to embracing no. Again, this is more about you. I'm not going to go a whole lot into navigating objection and rejection. I cover this a lot in my influence course and the trainings I do with organizations. And at the end of every episode of this podcast, I give you a link, and I'm to talk with me. I'm happy to connect with you more if you want to learn more about this. But let's go back into what I'm going to share today, which is from fearing no to embracing no. I learned this along the way. I can't remember from where, but rejection is protection. And yes, holding space, that rejection hurts and it sucks and it's disappointing. Also, it's part of the game. And you can get yes or you can get no, and it's part of the game. And that is something that we learn to live with, because when we fear no, we're not hearing people say no. And when we don't give people the ability to say no from the beginning, they're going to give us a fake yes. And a fake yes looks like, well, can you send something over in writing? Or let me think about it and get back to you. They're trying to say no to you, but they don't want to disappoint you or hurt your feelings. So they're going to try to give you a fake no. When you give people the ability to say no from the beginning, they're actually going to stay with you because they feel in control of the process. And there's a little trick that I use where I ask people all along the way, hey, is it okay if we do this? Is it okay if we talk about this? And these are called micro commitments. And micro commitments is like, I'm inviting you into saying yes to me in little small ways, so that you'll consider saying yes in bigger ways. So I'm creating a conditioning you to say yes along the way, but it truly is your choice. But I'm always giving you the choice, because I'm okay with no. And I'll go into this a little bit more. But let's say, you're talking with someone and they start talking about, they want to get their name out in the community a little bit more or something like that. And you feel like one of your events could really help them with that. And so you're going to say, so what I'm hearing is that you really want to get your name out into, ABC community. We work a lot with them on, let's say they want to, let me just give you a more concrete example. Golf tournament. Somebody says, I really want to get more connected with the corporate community or whatever. And you go, wow, well, that's who we work with for this golf tournament. could I share with you a little bit about this event, and because it might meet your needs, but it's completely up to you whether you want to talk about it or not. 99% of the time, they'll be like, yeah, sure, let me hear about it. But if you go in there and start, well, you know what? You should be a golf sponsor, blah, blah, blah. As soon as you say should, they're going to go, wait, what? Huh? And they're going to shut down. So I'm always giving people the opportunity to say no, even though sometimes it hurts when they do, because I'm embracing the no. They weren't your people anyway, and that's okay. Okay, number 4. Now we're going to shift a little bit to more how we interact with people in the next few shifts that we're going to make. Starting with from words to energy. Now, I'm a words person. I love words. I love words. I love words so much. Words make me so happy. Like I wrote a book. I'm a writer in my heart. I love words. Words, energy speaks louder than words. So we want to shift from focusing on words to focusing on energy, right? Energy, which is how we show up. We want to Rubik's Cube, every word, and have the case and have all the questions answered and blah, 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 because we think that's going to shift our energy, but it's actually the opposite. Don't worry about the words. You know the words, they're in you. Focus on your energy. How are you going to show up? Calm, confident, detached, helpful. Like my only job is to serve people, right? When in influential leadership, when I'm a value to you, you're a value to me. So my only job is to be of value to you. That's it. And so instead of focusing on the words and having all the words, focus on the energy. Spend 5 minutes, doing a little meditation or breathing or just centering yourself. This is what I do a lot, is just spend 5 minutes or a minute or 30 seconds if 5 minutes feels like a long time to you. Just focusing on like that person and who they are and how much you care for them, or focusing on, you know, thinking about the giving. And I always think about like shining my light out and having that light come back to me in that exchange of light and energy and loving supportive energy. And I focus on that. And let me tell you, energy speaks louder than words, because if your mouth is saying one thing, but your body is saying another, people will pick up on that. If you're saying, oh, no, whatever, it's okay. But your heart is pounding, because our subconscious is, most of our brain, and it is hardwired to pick up on these signals. And so our subconscious is auto conditioned. And so somebody is thinking, I don't like this. I don't know why, but I'm just not feeling it. I'm not connecting it. They may not understand why. If they don't understand how the brain works, if they don't understand these techniques, they may not understand what's going on with them, but they will understand that something's off and they're not interested. So focus on your energy. Really, really focus on your energy and see what that does for you. Okay, number 5, from convincing to questioning. The value of the conversations is based on not what you say, but the questions you ask. Stop pitching, stop selling, stop convincing, stop having all your talking points. Yes, you can have them, but they don't lead. They're more for you, not the other person. And what do I mean by that? I mean, like, my job is to ask questions and pull things out of you. I can't meet your needs until I know what they are. And if I come in with an agenda, right, if I come in with something I want to get you to do, first of all, they're going to feel you're going to feel the pressure and you're going to balk. But second, there could be so many other things that we could collaborate on, or so many other opportunities, but I'm not even thinking about those because I'm so focused on this one. So when I pull back and just listen and stop convincing and just start questioning, tell me more about that. Help me understand that. Oh, why do you ask that? What makes you say that? These are great questions. It's the quality of the questions that allows people to feel seen and heard. So just keep questioning and asking, because what you're going to do is get their needs. You're going to understand what their pains are, what their gains are, what they want out of life. And then when the time is right, after they felt seen and heard, you can then go back and say, hey, I want to go back to something you said because you mentioned ABC. And that's something that we do. You mentioned you are important employees love episodic volunteering. That is something we offer. I would love to talk with you about that if that's okay with you. But you got there from questioning, not pitching. You stop with the talking points, stop with the making the case. Now, I'm not going to go through step by step how this works, but I'm happy if you want if you want to book a call with me, I can walk you through it. And very, very briefly, it's about allowing the other person to go first. Tell me everything, tell me what's going on. And then from there, you're doing the assessing and saying, okay, from that place, now I can see, now I think they might be a good fit for this, or I might be worth it to talk to them about this. It's different than saying, here's 10 ways you can get involved with our nonprofit. Which one looks good to you? Here's 5 levels of sponsorship. Which one looks good to you? No, have a conversation with them. Listen to what their needs are. What are their goals? What are they looking for? What is the legacy they want to leave? And then offer them something that meets their needs because they've already walked themselves into it because they told you what you want. I'm just based on what you said, I think this might be something you could be interested in. Would it be okay if I shared a little bit about it? Trust me, how good this feels to do this. I use this technique every single day. Every single person I coach and train uses this as well. And it is so freeing and beautiful and fun to use these techniques instead of feeling like you have to push. Okay, here's a big one. I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit, but this is a big one. We're going to switch from the immediate to the vision. Instead of focusing on fixing what is broken, we want to focus on creating what is right. What are we creating together? Now, I know there are hurting people. I know they're like right behind me, hurting animals. I know that there is immediate pain that needs to be relieved in our world, and I am not going to argue with that. However, because remember, this is a yes and we can also look at what do we want to create together? What is the future we are creating? It's not about just putting a person in a home. It's what would our community look like and function like if everyone had a home? What would our community look like and function like if we had affordable childcare? Right, that what would our country look like if there was if no everyone had what they needed to eat? That's what we're creating a community, and that's what people are enrolling in. They're enrolling in a vision of something greater than themselves. We have conditioned people over the years, we have trained people to value the reactive, to value the quick payoff, to value like, give me $100 and I'll feed this person. We have trained them to do that so they get the quick payoff. That is not serving us and it's not serving them. And I want you to trust me, trust the universe, trust your donors and your potential donors that they can hang on and they can be with you. It's nice to have the immediate payoff, but they also know that we are trying to make long-term change, that we are trying to disrupt systems to change things. And they know that takes a long time. We know it's going to take a long time to cure a disease, right, to right inequities, right? I'm not using that language right. You understand what I'm saying. Trust them, enroll them in a vision, enroll them in what could be your biggest, boldest vision. Because once they're enrolled in that, they're there, they're with you. And the little things along the way that you need them for that are in service to that big vision, they're in. They're in. They're in. I'm doing a lot more work around this concept and in the months coming. So just hold on, but I'm going to plant that seed for now. Okay, we got 3 more. We've got number 8, from chasing to attracting. Stop chasing people. The reason that you're chasing people is because you're not giving them the ability to say no from the beginning. And they tell you the false yes, which is send me something over in writing, or can you send me something over and let me think about it and get back to you. They're trying to say no without hurting your feelings. And so you're chasing, 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 chasing. We want to create a brand of attraction of like, I don't know what those people are doing, but I am in and I know, there are organizations that can do this. Right? There's a couple of them I'm thinking of right now. Uh, and I'll just call one out locally in my community, which is an organization called Home Sweet Home. They have a vibe that people want to get with. Also, one of my clients, which is Annie's Hope, people come to them. How can I help? What's going on? This looks amazing. What can I do for you? Instead of pulling, 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 we're building an attraction. Because I don't have to chase you to convince you, right? The baseline of our work is I can't make somebody care about your nonprofit, right? I can't make somebody care. My job is to be strong in mission and message and put that out there to attract those like-minded people. I am just here to attract like-minded people, and I can give you example after example, but a quick one is, I completed about 2 years with the Sisters of St. Joseph of Carondelet. And one of the things that we really looked at was attracting people to the organization by being strong in their mission and their vision and their values. Because before they may have been like maybe showcasing some values over others because they were afraid of what people might think. But when they detached and released the outcome, stood in their value, sent really strong messages of this is who we are, this is what we stand for. People were like, I'm in. And these are people that are aligned with them, right? They're already connected. Okay, now two more. We're going from powerless to powerful. From feeling like I don't have any power in the situation to I have everything I need. I have everything that's great. And I have power and sovereignty. Whether or not that person gives you money or says yes to whatever you want doesn't dictate your worth. No one dictates your worth but you. And this goes way deeper than fundraising, but I'm going to step into it for just a second. The number on the scale, the bank account, the size of the house, the make of the car. No, nothing determines your worth except you. Whether or not that person says yes to you or not, it's about maintaining that sovereignty and not letting those outside things define you, because it doesn't work. It doesn't work either way. When you think, okay, if that person does what I want, then I feel good. If only this person would do this, then it'd be better. But then they do that, and guess what? It's not better because it wasn't about them. If I only had a talking points, I'd feel more confident. You get caught talking points and you're confident for like a hot minute, like a power pose. It shifts you for a minute, but it's not sustainable. What's sustainable is your inner sovereignty and your own tapping into your own personal power. And man, I can't tell you how important this is to your work and your life. And this is something that we can work on and we can grow together and that you can practice on. And sure, do I get thrown off the chair every once in a while? Absolutely. But I work really, really hard to stay connected to that power so that whatever happens around me, I know, right, that I am safe, supported, loved, and everything is unfolding as it should. All right. The last thing I want to say is from hopeful to honest. Now, we have also been conditioned, right, that we have to we have to want certain things and want people to, and want it. Oh, if only they did this and only they did that. Let's be honest, because when we're not honest, we're creating what I call fantasy relationships. And the fantasy relationships are, let me think about it and get back to you. or you get all excited from this conversation because you didn't detach from the outcome and you're hearing what you want to hear. And you're like all excited because they seemed so interested. And then you never hear from them again because you came in as hopeful, not honest. So, and it's hard to be honest because it hurts, it hurts. And also, it makes your work so much easier because you can bless and release that person. They can say, yeah, this really isn't for me. Hey, no problem. Thank you. It was always good to connect with somebody. It's always good to share stories and to get to know people and to expand our network. And, I'd love to keep you on our mailing list if that's okay. If not, that's okay too. You may want to downsell them to keep them in your orbit, but whatever they say is fine. When instead of feeling hopeful, we're going to be honest. Honest, aligned, authentic will get you so much farther than anything else. And I want to say about from hopeful to honest is when they say, let me think about it and get back to you. And you're going to say, wow, I'm so excited that you're thinking about it. That sounds great. I will send you something over before the end of the day. And I would love to connect with you possibly next week to see how you're feeling. What does Tuesday of next week look like for you for, a check-in to see to see where you are in your decision making? And you can take that line down to see where you are in your decision making. Now, if they say, yeah, sure, that sounds fine, they're probably on board. If they hesitate, this is where we're going to work on being honest. Well, I'm not sure. Hey, listen, if this isn't for you, that's totally fine. I completely understand. I get it. I'm here to make long-term loyal matches. And if that's not for you, I completely understand. Many years ago, and I'm pretty sure they're still like this, even though I don't really have a relationship with the organization right now. Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Eastern Missouri, they did one event a year, which was a Bowl for Kids' Sake thing, which was more like a volunteer run event. Their development team spent most of their time with developing $1,000 and up donors. And they were very honest about what they were looking for. And they said, we are looking for long-term loyal people who are making a long-term investment, because the success of our program, Big Brothers Big Sisters, is based on a long-term investment. In fact, disrupted matches often do more damage, right? So that's why we're so careful in how we select our big brothers and our big sisters. We're just as careful in how we select the people who want to invest in our organization. And these are the things that we require. And if this is for you, great. And if it isn't, that's okay too. Now, that approach is so different, but it's rooted in honesty. Here's what we need to be successful. If this is something you can do, great. If not, that's okay too. When you embrace the honesty, right? When you embrace the honesty, you have meaningful conversations. And I'm going to tell you, when you use these 10 steps, you have the most amazing, beautiful connections with people that go far beyond the fundraising. Because relationship first, the money will follow. And this helps you create relationships. If you're building a relationship with someone because they have money, that's deceitful at best and manipulative at worst, right? You're building a relationship with somebody because you have a vision. It takes more than just people with money to make change. There's a lot we can enroll people in. We're mobilizing a community. And so they may not be right for this specific thing, but that doesn't mean they're not right. And that doesn't mean that they can't be a part of your community in some other way. Or maybe not, and either one is okay. You're going to stop mailing to people who don't want to hear from you, calling people who don't want to hear from you, thinking that one more appeal letter, that one more phone call, and they're finally going to change. They're not going to change. They were never your person. And that's okay. Let's be honest about that. All right, quick recap. Desperate to detached, less than to equal partners, from fearing no to embracing no, from words to energy, from convincing to questioning, from pitching to listening, from immediate to vision, from chasing to attracting, from powerless to powerful, and from hopeful to honest. That was a lot. I love you for listening. I love you for doing what you do every single day. If you want to talk more about adapting some of these principles into your work, my link is always in the show notes. I'm happy to spend a little time with you. We can resolve whatever immediately is going on. And if it seems like there might be some potential, I'm also happy to talk with you about what it's like to work with me. But of course, that is always up to you. And that's it for me on this episode of The Influential Nonprofit. One more thing before you go. If you're interested in this talk, coming to a conference, a workshop, I boil this down and do it more keynote, like a 30-minute keynote. I've done where I do a 30-minute keynote and then a longer workshop where we play with these and practice. So all of those are open. And if you're looking for a speaker, book that link and we can talk about it. See you next time on The Influential Nonprofit.